Have you ever wondered about the intricate dynamics at the United Nations General Assembly? Today, we delve into a pivotal decision by India on a draft resolution concerning Islamophobia. This decision, a significant move in the vibrant theater of international diplomacy, steers us into a broader conversation about India's stance on religious tolerance and inclusivity. We'll be exploring the reasoning behind India's choice and its implications on the global stage. Get ready to navigate the intriguing world of international diplomacy. India recently abstained from voting on a draft resolution on Islamophobia at the UN General Assembly, a move that has sparked a lot of discussion. The resolution, introduced by Pakistan and co-sponsored by China, was aimed at addressing the rising tide of Islamophobia around the world. Yet, India's decision to abstain has set the stage for a wider dialogue on religious intolerance. Representing India's position, Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj took to the podium at the UN. She articulated India's stance, underlining that the fight against religious intolerance must not be confined to a single religion. Instead, she emphasized, it should encompass all faiths, including Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and others. This stance illuminates India's belief in the universal respect of all religions. Ambassador Kamboj also brought to light the prevalence of religiophobia against non-Abrahamic religions. She cited incidents such as the destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas and attacks on temples and gurudwaras. The ambassador underscored India's commitment to standing against all forms of religiophobia, regardless of the targeted faith. This decision by India reflects the country's belief in equality when it comes to combating religious intolerance. India, with its diverse religious landscape, emphasizes the importance of addressing all forms of intolerance. The stance taken by India serves as a reminder that allocating resources solely to combat Islamophobia, while neglecting similar challenges faced by other faiths, could perpetuate a sense of exclusion and inequality. In the words of Ambassador Kamboj, it's time to acknowledge the prevalence of religiophobia against various faiths and stand united against all forms of religious intolerance. India's rich tapestry of religions exemplifies unity in diversity, and it's crucial to safeguard the rights and dignity of every individual, irrespective of their faith. India's decision to abstain was not simply a refusal to participate, but a call to broaden the conversation. It underscores the country's commitment to promoting religious tolerance and inclusivity. By addressing religiophobia against all faiths, we move closer to a world where every individual can practice their religion freely and without fear. Ambassador Kamboj didn't just present India's stance. She also brought up a critical issue: religiophobia against non-Abrahamic religions. This isn't something that's often discussed, but it's an issue that affects millions around the world. Religiophobia, or religious intolerance, isn't exclusive to any one religion. It's a global problem that affects various faiths. Ambassador Kamboj cited instances such as the destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas in Afghanistan, a painful reminder of the intolerance towards Buddhism. Similarly, attacks on temples and gurudwaras, places of worship for Hindus and Sikhs respectively, are also manifestations of religiophobia. This isn't just about historical instances. Today, many followers of non-Abrahamic religions face discrimination, prejudice, and even violence due to their religious beliefs. According to a report by the Pew Research Center, Hindus, Buddhists, and Sikhs, among others, have all experienced varying degrees of religious intolerance. These instances aren't isolated. They are part of a broader pattern of religious intolerance that affects various faiths across the world. And while it's important to address Islamophobia, focusing solely on it can inadvertently marginalize the experiences of other religious groups. This is where India's stance comes in. By abstaining from the vote on the draft resolution on Islamophobia, India is sending a clear message. It's not just about one religion, it's about all religions. It's about recognizing and addressing religiophobia in all its forms against all faiths. India's stance is rooted in the belief that every individual, regardless of their faith, deserves to practice their religion freely and without fear. It's about ensuring that no one religion is singled out, but that all religions are given equal consideration when discussing and addressing religious intolerance. India's stance on this issue is clear. It is crucial to address religiophobia against all religions. It's a stance that seeks to promote religious tolerance and inclusivity, and it's a stance that recognizes the importance of addressing religiophobia in all its forms. Because at the end of the day, every individual deserves the freedom to practice their religion without fear. India's abstention from the vote is not a denial of Islamophobia, but a demand for equal attention to all forms of religious intolerance. India, a country of over 1 billion people, is a robust tapestry of religions, languages, and cultures. A place where mosques, churches, temples, and gurudwaras coexist harmoniously in the same neighborhood. This rich diversity shapes India's perspective on religious intolerance, with an emphasis on inclusivity and equality. Consider this. The Indian subcontinent is the birthplace of religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. It's a land that has warmly embraced religions from other parts of the world, including Islam, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism. With such a diverse religious landscape, the country understands the importance of acknowledging and combating intolerance against all faiths. India's abstention from the Islamophobia resolution at the UN General Assembly is a testament to this understanding. It's an insistence that in the global fight against religious intolerance, no faith should be overlooked. The acknowledgement of Islamophobia should not eclipse the recognition and addressal of intolerance against Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and other faiths. This approach is in line with India's constitutional ethos, which guarantees freedom of religion to every citizen. It's an affirmation of the country's commitment to uphold the spirit of Sarvadharma Sambhava, which translates to equal respect for all religions. It's a call to the world to uphold the same principle in the global fight against religious intolerance. India's stance, therefore, is not about undermining the severity of Islamophobia. It's about ensuring that the discourse on religious intolerance is comprehensive, inclusive, and equitable. It's about reminding the world that every faith matters, every believer deserves respect, and every form of religious intolerance should be combated with equal vigor. In the face of religious intolerance, India advocates for equality and inclusivity. The country's decision at the UN General Assembly is a clarion call for a holistic approach in addressing religious intolerance worldwide. It's a beacon of hope that one day the world will stand united in its fight against all forms of religious intolerance, ensuring freedom of belief for all. India's rich tapestry of religions exemplifies the principle of unity in diversity. This harmony of diverse faiths coexisting and flourishing together is not just a testament to India's cultural richness, but also its commitment to religious tolerance and mutual respect. In the vast expanse of India, you'll find an array of religions living side by side, from Hinduism, Islam, and Buddhism to Christianity, Sikhism, and Jainism, among others. This religious diversity is India's strength, and it underscores the nation's belief in the universal principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which translates to "the world is one family." Yet this diversity also presents challenges. Religiophobia, in its various forms, can threaten the fabric of this unity. India's stance at the UN General Assembly, therefore, is not just about abstaining from a resolution on Islamophobia. It's about embracing a broader perspective that acknowledges and addresses religious intolerance in all its forms, against all faiths. India's decision is a call for the world to recognize and address religious intolerance holistically. It's a plea to look beyond the myopic view of religiophobia and to strive for a world where every faith is treated with equal respect and dignity. This is not just about protecting religious freedom, it's about preserving the essence of humanity. In essence, India's rich religious diversity is a beacon of unity. It's a potent reminder that despite our differences in faith, we are bound by a shared sense of humanity. And it's this unity that forms the bedrock of India's stance against religiophobia. India's commitment to unity, despite its diverse religious landscape, sends a powerful message to the world. It's a call to action, urging us all to stand together against religious intolerance. It's a reminder that in our diversity we find our unity, and it's in this unity that we find our strength. At its core, India's decision at the UN General Assembly is a call for unity in the face of religious intolerance. It's a clarion call for a world that respects and celebrates diversity, and it's a reminder that in our shared struggle against religious intolerance, we are indeed one. India's decision at the UN General Assembly sends a clear message to the world. The abstention from voting on the draft resolution on Islamophobia was not a dismissal of the issue, but rather a call for a broader perspective on religious intolerance. India, through its representative, Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj, advocated for acknowledging and combating religiophobia against all faiths, not just one. This stance is rooted in the country's rich tapestry of religious diversity. It's a reflection of India's commitment to uphold the principles of unity in diversity, a cornerstone of its cultural ethos. The emphasis is on the need to address religious intolerance in all its forms, regardless of the faith it targets. In highlighting instances of religiophobia, such as the destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas and attacks on temples and gurudwaras, India has underscored the importance of recognizing and addressing these often overlooked issues. The decision at the UN General Assembly reveals a broader vision. It's about promoting inclusivity, equality, and respect for all religions. It's about standing together in the face of religious intolerance and protecting the rights and dignity of every individual, regardless of their faith. As we move forward, let's remember the importance of standing united against all forms of religious intolerance. Let's strive for a world where every individual can practice their religion freely, without fear and with the dignity they deserve.